It is a beautiful evening and very special impromptu class. Tonight, I want to talk about maybe something that is very simple and very deep at the same time. I want to talk about a ladder, a dream, and four levels of reality, and what actually happens, according to Kabbalah, when a human being stands and prays, the power of prayer. For me, growing up in a more devout, more religious world, at some point, the prayers became absent-minded recitations. Because I had been praying them since I was a young child, I didn't appreciate so much of what I was doing. And then it became rote, and then it wasn't interesting, and then I just was absent-mindedly mumbling words, and that didn't make any sense anymore. So I stopped that and started looking into what prayer meant to me and what prayer really means. And one of the the ideas that really inspired me was the opening of this week's Torah portion, the portion of Vayetze. I'm going to spend some time now kind of studying myself. So I'm going to be broadcasting live. Um, I didn't plan this, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen over the course of our time together. But I love to kind of take myself on a journey and as a result, bring you with me on the journey. I'll try to be cognizant of the fact that there's no background in Kabbalah that will be needed because we will go through some really deep Kabbalistic ideas, primarily the idea of the four worlds. I'll also be cognizant of those that don't know Hebrew because I will possibly focus on Hebrew as I'm studying myself. If you hear a Hebrew word out of my mouth, I will make sure that there's an English word that follows right afterwards so you don't get lost. And so sometimes when we start discussing very deep ideas, um, we lose our heart. And sometimes it feels overwhelming. So I want to try to see if we can just go through this process and go through the journey and really the story itself is a journey. So this week's Torah portion opens up with Jacob, with Yaakov. Yaakov is on the run. I've been on the run. So often it just seems that when we have trouble, when we have difficulties, when we have problems, it's just easier to run away, just to let it all go. And Jacob is our archetype. He's on the run. His brother wants to kill him. He steals the blessing and he leaves home and he's exhausted. He lies down on the ground with a few stones as a pillow. He's at a very special place. Later becomes a special place. It becomes a Temple Mount, Mount Moriah. And he has this wild dream. A ladder is standing on the ground, and its top reaches all the way to the heaven. And there are angels going up, and there are angels going down. Now, I don't know about you, but just say the word angel, and I don't exactly understand. Jacob wakes up and he says, wow, God is in this place, and I didn't realize. Now, I want to just look into the text for a second. And I want to read you the first uh, the first few verses here so that you have a feeling. And I'm not going to read it in Hebrew. I'll just read the direct translation. So you have a feeling of what's going on in the story in the text. It says, and Jacob went out from Beersheba, and he went to Haran, and he encountered the place, and he lodged the night there as the sun had come down. And he took of the stones of the place, and he placed them at his head. And he lay in that place, and he dreamed. And here a ladder is stood to the earth, and its head reaches the heavens. And here the angels of God are ascending and descending on it. And here God is standing over him, and he said, I am God, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of and the God of Isaac. The land upon which you lie, to you I will give it, and to your seed. And your seed will be as the dust of the earth, and you will burst forth to the west and to the east, and to the north and to the south. And in you will be blessed all the families of the earth, and in your seed. And here I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you will go, and I will return you to the soil, as I will not forsake you until you have done that which I spoke unto you. And Jacob awoke from his sleep, and he said, indeed, there is God in this place, and I myself did not know. And he was afraid, and he said, how awesome is this place! This is naught but the house of God, and this is the gate of the heavens. And Jacob made early in the morning, and he took the stone which he had placed at his head, and he set it as a monument, and he poured oil upon its head, and he called the name of that place Bethel. However, Luz was the name of the city at first, and Jacob vowed a vow to say that if God will be with me, and he will keep me in this way which I'm going, and he will give me bread to eat and a garment to wear, I will return in peace to my father's house, and God will be a God to me. And this stone which I have set as a monument will be a house of God, and all that you give to me, tithe, I will tithe it to you. And Jacob lifted his feet, and he went to the land of the people of the east. This is the first chapter, first 23 verses of this week's Torah portion. So, God is in this place, and I didn't realize. Now, what is that ladder? Let's talk about the ladder, Jacob's ladder. The sages, the Kabbalists, they tell us that the ladder is prayer. It's also the picture of reality itself. It's the picture of my soul. And the detail that really matters is this. The ladder is standing on the earth, and it doesn't start in heaven. It starts right where Jacob is. Where is Jacob right now? Where is he really? He's tired. He's afraid. He's on the run. He's in a difficult place. And that's, for me, the first big idea that the spiritual ladder always starts where you actually are, not where you wish to be. That in spirituality, we're not concerned with where we want to go. So many people that talk about these self-help ideas. Oh, set a goal. Where are you going? No, where are you? And if you look at the Torah, you're going to see that is God's relationship with the greats. Ayeka, where are you? That spirituality, that ladder, it always starts from where we are. Where am I? Now, I want to kind of segue from here into something a little more Kabbalistic. We're going to move our way up, actually up the ladder, literally. Kabbalah explains that reality has four levels. It calls them four worlds. Now, that sounds very mystical, but I experience, you experience these four levels every day. We just don't call them worlds. And I'm going to try to explain this as simply as I can. The first world, our world, Kabbalah calls it the world of Asiya. Asiya is the world of action. In the level in this world, it's where life is. I have bills, I have emails, I have laundry, kids, work. I do what I need to do. It's physical, it's real, it's concrete, it's messy, but it's really a task-based world, not necessarily more than just kind of the physical world. And there's a job to do, and the job has to get done. I may feel overwhelmed at times. I may feel like I don't want to do it. I may think that I have ADD and I can't focus on the things. I don't really have ADD. I just don't want to do the thing right now, and I don't have to call it anything because I just don't want to do it. And because I don't want to do it, I think that maybe my attention has a deficit. It's just not interesting. I'd rather be spending my time here with you and having this conversation than paying bills and doing menial things that don't inspire me. But that's the world of Asiya. It's physical and it's not always what I want to do. World number two. World number two is called the world of Yetzirah. They call it the world of formation. Now, it's the same world, but now I feel something. I'm moved. I feel grateful. I feel hurt. I feel a little bit of awe when I see a sunrise, beautiful sunrise. It's not a different planet. It's just a different layer of reality. It's an emotional layer of reality. Now, think about it. I could just spend all of my time in the world of Asiya. I don't even notice the sunrise because I'm too busy having to deal with the things I'm not interested really in dealing with, but in order to live, I deal with them. And so I don't even notice the beautiful sunrise this morning because I didn't have time for that. So that second world is that world where I can feel something, I could notice something. It's a different dimension of this world. And then there's world three. World three is called Bria, the world of creation. Now, I don't just feel, I think a little deeper. I start to realize, hmm, the world has a source. Things don't just happen. There's wisdom. There's a plan. There's a creator behind all of this. This is the world of understanding. It's big picture thinking. And then there's the fourth world, the highest world, the world of Atzilut. We call that the world of emanation. It's the highest level. And here, a person, I sense that there is an infinite divine presence, that God is real. And my ego, which stands for edging God out, is not the center of the universe. Now, I still live my life. I still have my personality. But for a moment, I feel like I'm standing inside God's light. not outside looking in, but I'm inside looking out. And it may not be for more than a moment, but there's a moment there. So it's the same world, but four different ways of living in this world. And I would say like this. Level one is doing. Level two is feeling. Level three is understanding. And level four is being deeply connected. So we'll do this again. We're going to say Asiya, doing, Yetzira, feeling, Bria, understanding, and Atzilut, which is being deeply connected. Now, I want to take this a step further if I can, if you allow me to. How do we climb from one level to the other? The Kabbalistic masters explain that that is what prayer is. That prayer within the Jewish teaching, Jewish prayer, is designed exactly like Jacob's ladder. So if you've ever opened a siddur, a prayer book, and you felt lost, this is your map. And there's other reasons why you'd feel lost, maybe not knowing Hebrew. That's also sometimes difficult. I say that today, for a lot of people in the community, there's always this conversation about assimilation, but I don't think assimilation is the main issue today. I think a lot of people are interested and are wanting to connect. It's alienation. It's just the bar is so high. And I would say the highest of the bars is prayer. Because if you never were around prayer, so you have two types of people. You have one person who spent their entire life around prayer and it's meaningless. And then you have another person who never touched prayer, never had anything to do with Jewish prayer, and it seems so overwhelming. Like, where do I even start? If I walk into the synagogue and I don't even know where to start. I don't know Hebrew. I don't know what the prayers are. Now, unfortunately, it's something that I've always wanted to do, and God willing, I'll have time to do it. I find that the English translations are so they're not emotional. They're bland. They're very maybe 1940s, I think, was when a lot of them were done. I hear my French is not good enough to appreciate it, but I hear that the French translation is very emotional and very real, and I always say to people in our community that if you have a choice between using, if you don't know Hebrew, I would recommend, and I've recently bought a number of French Siddurim, French prayer books, because of that, because I hear from people that the French translation is very real and very emotional, and that's what prayer is supposed to be. And so there's this really high bar. I don't know Hebrew. I'm not familiar with the prayers. I don't know what to do. When I read it in English, it doesn't really mean anything to me. It just sounds like a bunch of words that just don't have any meaning. So the bar is so high. And whether somebody like me who's grown up in it, where I have to find meaning in something that has become meaningless, or somebody who has not grown up in it and has to try to find a connection with it, it's like we're all trying to juggle this very, very difficult nut here. And I want to crack it open. I want to try to see if we can go beyond the Siddur, beyond the prayer book, and we can take a look at Jacob's ladder and take a look at prayer tonight and see if we can find something that's meaningful to both of us. So let's go through it in as simple terms as I can. Step one is action, asiya. The first part of the prayers, which are the morning blessings, the early pieces. So what's happening in this step of the ladder? I may not feel very spiritual. I may be half asleep. It's the morning prayer. I probably woke up not long ago. My mind is scattered. It's all over the place. And that's okay. And at this stage, at the first stage of prayer, think about it. Let's say, even if you're walking into the synagogue, you walk into the synagogue, it's overwhelming. You have to just kind of find your bearings and feel that inner sense of calm. Just where am I? What's going on? And so I think that at this first stage, what you should expect from yourself at the first stage of prayer is I showed up. And I always say that there was a special prayer that we say to those who showed up because I showed up. There was a lot of reasons. I'm always amazed. I walk into the to Chabad and DG on a Saturday morning, on a Shabbat morning. I'm like, what is everybody doing here? Like, it's a beautiful Saturday. Like, there's a lot of better things to do. So you get points for showing up. I showed up. I'm now going to open the book and I'm going to say words with my mouth. I'm going to do the action of prayer. What is prayer? Prayer action is opening the book and starting to say words with my mouth. We say them so that we can hear them, just loud enough that we can hear them. Some people like a little louder, not necessary, but loud enough that you can hear them. That we're not, in English, we're used to kind of reading a book and we kind of read it in our head. But prayer is supposed to be enunciated. So we say it in an undertone in a way that we can hear ourselves saying the words. So what are we doing? Asiya, we're doing the action of prayer. This is the world of action. It's like putting your foot on the first rung of the ladder. And that's it. And it could be that at this point, you may not get further than this. That prayer in the beginning, you can't expect to just become a master at something so difficult in a moment. And so just the ability to show up, to say the words, to open the book, to say the words, that action of prayer is already, I would say, a huge step. Now let's go to step two. What's step two? Yitzira, emotion. Those are starting the verses of praise. Many of the prayers are made up with the sweet songs of King David, the Psalms, the Hallelujah, the Ashrei, the songs of praise. And so, what is the goal here? It's to move from action, from just saying it, to actually starting to feel an emotional connection with a higher power, even a little. We talk about God's kindness. We talk about God's greatness, about the beauty of the world. And if we slow down even for a moment, we can allow the heart to start to wake up. Instead of seeing it in the third person, which because of the prayers and the English, when it was written in the third person. We can say things like, I'm me, my heart, my soul. I'm actually thankful. I'm actually amazed that I'm alive. Something in me is moved. That's the world of emotion. Starting to feel something, that I'm not alone in the world, that there's a higher power, there's a God, and that I can start to imagine what would a relationship with a higher power look like. And that is an incredible first step. The action, that's the first step. That's the 0 to 1. But now, really, like Asiya action is 0 to 1. One is I'm not alone in the world. There's a higher power, there's a creator. And what I'm about to do or what I'm doing in this action of prayer is establishing a relationship with this higher power. It's praying from my heart, my words, real words, emotions. Maybe I'm really upset right now. Maybe I'm mad at God. So I'll say like, what the heck? What's going on? This world is a mess. What is going on? What did you leave us with? But that's an emotion. That's the world of emotion. And maybe I have grief and maybe I have joy and maybe I have happiness and maybe that this is just it's all coming together because at one moment I had sadness and the next moment I was happy and the next moment I was really angry and the next moment I was joyous. But it's all in relationship with a higher power. And all of that is the world of emotion. Then there's the next rung. You're with me? We're good? There's the next rung. The next rung is Bria, the world of understanding. Where is that? That's the Shema. The Shema and its blessings. Now we get more thoughtful because we started feeling that there is a God, that there is a higher power, and we do have a relationship with that God. And then we can start talking about the God that created the world and that created me and created you. And we speak about angels and about God's love for me, that there's a God, a higher power, and that higher power loves me. And that higher power that loves me is also one, that God is one. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That the Lord is our God and the Lord is one. And here we're already experiencing the emotions because we've gone through level two, we've gone through the second rung, and now prayer is asking us to think. God is one. What is one? What does it mean that God is one? That there's a divine source behind everything? That there's oneness? That my soul comes from that source? This is the world of understanding. It's the head and the heart working together. What's interesting about this is that in other Kabbalistic ideas, for example, when we study, it's supposed to be moach shalet al halev, which means the mind needs to hone the heart, the mind, the understanding first, and then the emotions. But because prayer is about an emotional relationship with God, it's the emotions. It's the only time that the emotions come before the thought. It's the emotions that give rise to the thought, where the rest of our lives and other decisions and other things that we do during the day, it's the thought that is supposed to hone the emotions, because otherwise we'd be these erratic emotional creatures, and I don't think that's a good idea. But in prayer, that is where we can express that. The old the stories are told of the Hasidic masters that would roll on the floor. They would get really emotional. It was physical. It was real. It was this incredible, like other world experience. That's what prayer was for them. I think that in this post-Holocaust, post-Shtetl era, that we've lost the shimush. We lost the ability to how do you describe shimush? The ability to see someone. Like if you were living 100 years ago and you walked into a synagogue in some shtetl, some little town in Poland or Russia, you would see people who experienced prayer in a very visceral way. And they had learned how to do that from those before them who learned from those before them. But somehow today it got stuck because we lost those people who knew what prayer really was. And now it just became this kind of absent-minded recitation. But prayer was the most emotional, most visceral experience that we could have. It allowed us to experience the full gamut of our emotions. And then once we experience that, then we can start asking ourselves the existential questions, not the existential questions first, because then it just becomes an endless loop. But we can experience it and then start asking, God is one. What does it mean that God is one? What is oneness? What is one in comparison to two or to zero or to a singularity? But we do that with our emotions, with our feeling, with our experience. That's the world of understanding. And then, what is the highest level of prayer? Atzilut, where we experience oneness. What is oneness? It's the Amida. It's the standing prayer where we stand in silent prayer with our feet together, where we have gone through the emotions and we went through the understanding, and now we're at the top of the ladder. And the Amida is said standing still, feet together, like an angel, in a soft whisper. And here we're not giving speeches about God. We're not anymore angry at God or happy or joyous or praising. We're standing with God. We're standing with oneness. We ask for our needs, yes. We ask for health, for livelihood, for peace, for blessings. But the inner point of this prayer is, is God, I am yours, and I stand before you, and my life is in your hands, and I'm one with you. I am connected. That's the world of oneness. So, four worlds, four parts of prayers, four steps on Jacob's ladder. If I may, if you allow me to, I'd like to invite myself to go a step further here. As I told you, this is my own study here. And so you'll have to follow me into the next level because it may be a little above, but I'll try my best to explain it. In Jacob's dream, for me, the essence of Jacob's dream is that moment is the angels. The angels are going up the ladder and they're going down the ladder. Up the ladder and down the ladder. Why both? What's going on here? I mean, it seems, the Torah is so exact and every word is so exact. So why would we start talking about angels and then talking about them going up and down a ladder? I mean, it's a beautiful image and it's a great story to tell the kids, but we're not talking about kid stories here. This is the Torah. We're talking about life lessons. So why both? Why are we going up the ladder and why are the angels going down the ladder? Because real spiritual life is not only about me climbing up, it's also about bringing God's light down into my very real life. Kabbalah calls this running and returning. This is the concept in Kabbalah, running and returning. When you feel inspired, when you want to be closer to God, your soul is running upward. And then when you take that inspiration and you bring it into your day, into how you talk, into how you work, how you treat people, that is returning. So go back to prayer. Prayer is not an escape from the world. It's not I go up and I feel spiritual and then I crash back down into a miserable Monday. Prayer is not either going away from the world, like a lot of people feel in a lot of spirituality. The moment you say spirituality, oh, let's go on a mountain and meditate. That's spirituality. Let's leave the world. No, prayer is not an escape from the world. It's not I go up and I want to leave. It's I'm here. I want to bring that inspiration. I want to bring the action. I want to bring the emotion. I want to bring the understanding. I want to bring that connectedness into my day. If I can't integrate that into my life, then why did I go through that experience? I went through that experience to be able to integrate it. So you go up with your words, you go up with your feelings, you go up with your thoughts, and God's blessing and God's clarity and God's strength comes down into your real life. The Kabbalists say something beautiful, that the ladder doesn't just stand next to Jacob, that on a deeper level, Jacob himself is the ladder. So Jacob is the third generation, Abraham being the first and Isaac Yitzchak being the second. Jacob Yaakov is the third. Abraham represents chesed, represents loving kindness. Yitzchak, Isaac, represents awe or strength or severity, gvura. And Jacob is the middle of the triangle. It's actually this incredible triangle of emotional triangle because on the right side, you have loving kindness. Loving kindness has no end. On the left side, you have the severity. Severity is the stop of loving kindness. And in the middle of the triangle, on the bottom, you have the balance of the two. What is the balance of the two? This is what Jacob represents. Represents the balance of the two, which is compassion. What is compassion? What happens? Loving kindness is a beautiful thing. So many of us we're so I can just speak for myself. I've had so many years and months and times of my life that I felt altruistic. I've wanted to rescue people. I've wanted to save people. I get emails all day from people that need help. And my nature, my loving kindness is I want to help them. I want to rescue them. I want to be the hero. But there's an issue. The issue is that if I try to rescue them, then I'm not really helping them. I'm just enabling them. And I get stuck with them in the drama triangle, as Cartman talks about. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to be there. And so what happens? What's the opposite of that? It's the come on, guy, get your act together. You're 52 years old. What are you sending me an email? It's that severity. It's the opposite of loving kindness. It's tough love. Come on. You can get it, and a lot of men feel that, right? A lot of boys are raised that way. Like, come on, you can do it. Get your act together. And where do you find that balance? How do you pull yourself out of that? Because otherwise, you're in this tug of war between loving kindness and the boundaries and creating very strong boundaries and saying, almost aggressive. It could become aggressive. Where's that balance? That balance is Jacob. And Jacob represents this beautiful, it's called Tiferet. Tiferet is the compassion. It's the ability to feel another person's pain, to see the soul in someone, even when they're struggling, and to be able to lift them up. And compassion says, I love you. I'm here. I will hold space for you. I'm not going to rescue you. I'm not going to save you. I'm going to be compassionate because we're adults. And I know that maybe your child is waiting for someone to save you, and that saviors never come. But guess what? I have a secret for you. You're not 7 years old anymore. You're not 9 years old anymore. You can be the adult that you've been waiting for since you were a child. So you can save yourself, so to speak. You have the ability to be the adult, and you can pull that child with you. You can see the child. You can hold space for the child. Because when you're Jacob and you're running, it's easy to fight and flight. That's really easy. That's childlike response. Because what ends up happening is if we've had to make choices that were adult-like before we had the ability to reason, if we've had to make choices that were adult-like before we had the ability to really understand, then we had to create coping mechanisms. And those coping mechanisms are survival mechanisms because we had to live and survive somehow. And thank God, here we are. We're adults and we're having this conversation. So we did it. We've arrived. We've made it. But sometimes when we're faced with a challenge, we're still responding the same way we did when we were 9, even though we're 50. And so the 9-year old for all these years has been waiting for the 50-year-old. And now the 50-year-old can look at the 9-year-old and say, guess what? We've arrived. I can take you with me. I can hold that space. I can be the savior that you've been looking for all these years in other people. All that other validation, all that desire that you've had, and you've been a people, all the people pleasing, just trying, please see me. People pleasing is please, please see me. Look, I'm here. I exist. I exist. I want someone to finally see me because no one's seen me. Well, I can be that person for you. I can be that person for myself. I could take my little child, and yes, it's true because very often what's going to happen is I'm I'm living a life, and all of a sudden something comes at me, and then the child's going to respond because the child's been responding that way for 40 years. So of course it's not going to be a simple task. So it's that compassion, it's that taking a breath, it's that finding the center. It's finding the center of just stepping back and say, wait, wait, we're the adult here. I'm adult. There's adult and there's child. Who responded just now? Was that child that responded? Okay, hi, child. I see you. I know you've been doing this for 40 years, but we're going to do this. Okay, I'm going to take you. I am here to save you. And that's what compassion looks like. It's the ability to be able to feel that, to be able to be the adult. You don't have to compensate. You don't have to worry. You don't have to run. You don't have to freeze. You don't have to fight. You can just say, I know you've been doing this, but we can do this together. We're okay. Compassion is a bridge quality. Love often needs you to be my kind of person. Compassion doesn't. You can have compassion for someone who you don't agree with. You can have compassion for someone who is not the same belief as you. You can have compassion for someone who triggers you and you feel like maybe you wouldn't have time for. You can see that person is a soul, is part of God, even if that piece of God is very covered right now. And that's exactly what Jacob has to do. He's leaving the Holy Land and he's going to Haran. What is Haran? It's a spiritually tough environment. And on the way, when he's running away, God shows him a ladder. And what does God say to him? You don't just run away from dark places. You bring my light into them. Wherever you go, you can become a ladder between heaven and earth. You bring me with you. And that's also your job in the office, at home, in your relationships. Every time I respond with compassion instead of judgment, every time I respond with adult compassion instead of people pleasing, I'm acting like Jacob's ladder and I'm connecting the higher and the lower worlds. Let's try to make this practical. Here's what I'm thinking. It's very nice. Here we are. It's a nice evening. We're relaxed. But what about the morning? The morning is chaos. I'm tired. I'm rushed. I'm scatterbrained. My mind is everywhere. How do I feel this level of calm in the middle of the chaos? So here's I think, a very simple way to actually use all this. Now, you don't have to do it perfectly. This is an experiment like everything else. We like experiments around here. So this is another experiment. So we'll play with this. Here's practice one. Name the level you're on. Tomorrow morning, or you can even start tonight, when you say any prayer, even a short one, you can name which level you're on. I'm just kind of I'm going through the motions. I'm just mouthing the words. You could say, I'm in the world of action. I'm in the world of asiya. I'm on the first rung of the ladder, and that's okay. That's all I'm going to be able to get to today. I'm just getting, it's better than zero rungs. I'm getting to the first rung. Just name it. And that's just that awareness makes the simple prayer meaningful. Just naming it. That's where I am. That's what it is. You know what? It came out of my mouth. I opened the book. I showed up. Smile. That's where I am. It's a beautiful noticing. Then to practice two. Add one feeling. Pick one short phrase for a second or two that you can feel, like, thank you for returning my soul to me. Modani. Or, God, you are great. Close your eyes. Feel your heart on the left side. Just feel that heartbeat. Let one small feeling of gratitude, one small feeling of awe, of trust, just let that one feeling enter your heart. And that's already Yetzirah. That's the emotional world. Just that's it. Thank you for returning my soul to me. It's a beautiful day. Just that feeling, that's level two. You've gotten to the second rung of the ladder because you felt. And you don't have to do it for minutes, for we're talking a second or two. Number three, add one thought. Once that feels doable, add a simple thought. Something like, if God returned my soul this morning, it means that God still wants me here. And there is purpose to today because I'm here. That's Bria. That's the world of understanding. You're not just feeling, you're making sense of it. Just the fact that I'm alive, the fact that I'm here, God wants me here, and that's purpose. And then you can go to the fourth rung. The fourth rung, I'm going to call it a tiny moment of I am yours. That at some point, and it doesn't have to be necessarily in the morning, but at some point in a quiet moment of the day, you can just take one breath and in your heart, you can say, God, I belong to you just for this moment. Just for this moment, I let go and I stand before you. No drama, no fireworks, just a tiny surrender. And that's a taste of Atzilut. That's a taste of oneness. This whole thing can happen in 10 seconds. You can go through the entire process of prayer in 10 seconds, 20 seconds. The action, the emotion, the thought, the oneness. That's huge. So let's wrap this up. What did we learn? Reality has four levels: doing, feeling, understanding, and deep connection. Our prayers are built to guide us through those four levels, step by step. Jacob's ladder teaches us that the spiritual journey starts on the ground in our very real, sometimes very messy life and reaches all the way to the heaven. The angels going up and down show that when we rise to God in prayer, God's light comes down into our actions, into our emotions, into our understanding. And Jacob himself, with Tiferet, with his compassion, shows us that we're meant to be living bridges between heaven and earth. That's our job. So, the next time you pick up a prayer book, the next time you pick up a sitter, or even say one line that maybe you remember by heart, my invitation to you is to try telling yourself, right now, I am on Jacob's ladder. And even if it doesn't feel mystical, every word, every feeling, every little thought of God, it all counts. It all moves me, and it all moves the worlds. Every bit of it. I matter. My experience matters. I don't have to run. I could be. I don't have to freeze. I don't have to fight. I could just be. And I matter. A beautiful breath of life. It all matters. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on this climb. Thank you for spending this beautiful impromptu time together. And my blessing to each and every one of you is that until next time, May God bless you, that your feet stay steady on the ground and that your heart reach all the way up. And may you feel, even for a moment, that you're really a ladder between heaven and earth. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.